Yo, what's up, chat? Welcome everybody to the stream. We are gonna be doing a watch party on the Throne of Liberty finals tournament. So we're gonna have a loser finals first, of course, between Failure versus Disaster, and then we're gonna have the ultimate final, which is Sin versus Hands of Unity. But yeah, we're gonna have a great time here, man. Watching these games. It's Blue Squadron's tournament, so make sure you show him some love. Let me just see here. Let's jump into it.
One at a time. So we're sitting in the War Games Discord here. We're gonna pull up Disaster first. Here with us in Discord is Necromancer.
Oh, we're getting interviews.
Disaster.
Big.
He's the GM of Disaster Death, or he's essentially leads the Disaster Alliance. Necro, how are you feeling about today? First of all, how have you felt about your run through the tournament? Did you expect to get this far? How are you feeling about today's match? Are you confident? What
Is
are
he
you
gonna talk
feeling
smack about Sin?
First of all, hello.
It's Necro Cancer. Sorry.
Ooh, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Well, I know that we were gonna be in top 5, but yeah, we ended up in top 4, and we will probably win this match too.
You think so?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have confidence. You gotta. I like it. I like going in with confidence. That's good to hear. So, Necro, can you explain to everybody what it's like to basically? You've been leading this guild now for a few months. It's gotta be a full-time job. Like, I know it because I've done it before. Many times in the past. What does it feel like to kind of get this far in a tournament like this after working so hard? Essentially, I mean, what you've done basically is slave labor. Okay, you worked basically for free for the last few months. Finally, you're seeing a lot of that hard work pay off. You get some admiration. That's got to feel good, right?
Yeah, it feels good. First of all, sorry for my bad English. I'll try my best.
Totally
This
fine.
guy English is good.
Well, it's a full-time job indeed. Fortunately, I work at home. I own my own business, so
Oh, big. He's
that's
flexing.
why I have so many online times, and I can take care of the guild. But the thing is, we were playing and currently still played with 4 guilds. And managing
Ask me what he thinks about Sin. I
280
posted.
people
Let's
is
go.
just mind-blowing. It's so hard.
So hard, dude. It's so hard. Yeah.
And if we play with 1 or 2 guilds, probably no one could have matched. You know, we would be much more stronger than our current state, but we just tried our best. We were pretty strong on DVZs.
I heard about
That's
that.
why
Changed his
people
name and
hate
left his
us,
guild.
you know.
I saw that. I
As
saw
you
him
mentioned
typing
on
in the
your,
chat.
Last stream, they said that Disaster is dog shit PV.
Well,
guild.
he yoinked it, but I've heard he yoinked the staff, which is the worst weapon. So he yoinked for nothing.
And,
Like, why would you yoink at just a staff?
Yeah,
dude?
absolutely.
We proved that when we want to do. We are also a good GVG guild and also doing pretty good in war games.
Right on. Well, have you... Okay, so final closing thoughts here. Do you have anything to say to Failure before your match today? I'm not sure if you guys have any beef
Failure
with
is
them
gonna
or if you
take a
played against
big
them
L.
before. You seem pretty confident into them. So, like, do the Failure fans playing...
Bro, Failure is dog,
listening from home,
so they're
what do you
gonna
have
get
to say to them?
slapped, bro.
Well, yeah, we had some bad history with Failure. I'm gonna be honest, there was some hot word chat before our old server. But now, especially, we did war games, and no one expected us to be that good. You know, we won against Failure on our first war games with Failure.
Bro,
And
Failure is
then
gonna get dogged on. I'm not
said,
gonna lie,
okay,
bro.
let's not trash talk.
It's gonna be
because
2 boring
every
games.
time we lose against Failure on some content, they were a really good GVG guild, by the way. We haven't won against them on the Riftstone or Boonstone. And we lost Siege. It wasn't 1v1, but
Bro, Failure's about to get
they
wiped.
got the throne, but the world chat went crazy, and we got so many shit talk. I had to 1v200 on world chat PvP. But after the scrim,
Poor Failure,
they
man. I feel bad.
expected us to
I feel
go
bad
full on
mocking
them, you know?
Failure
But
now
I
because
said
they're
no.
just
I
so
mean,
bad, bro.
What's the reason? It's like a practice. And then something like good started, and we started talking like a normal people. We apologized from each other, and now it's very good. The relationship against
relationship is
us
good?
and failure.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, that's what
Excellent.
happens. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay,
failure
so it's
got
good fights either
humbled
way
and
today
they don't
then.
want
Good.
to talk smack
Excellent.
anymore.
Yep.
All right, right on. Anything you want to say to anybody at home, or you want to give a recruitment message before the match today?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, yeah, of course. As everyone know, game is turning into a GVG state. They mentioned that they're gonna make field bosses in their server. So we are planning to make our guild very strong, and as a S+ tier guild in EU top 3, we recruit healers. And if you trust in your static, we can also consider taking you as well. Feel free to add me on Discord, or you can join Discord/disaster.
I'm gonna
and
stop
make an
smack
application,
talking failure
and
that
I'll
much, man. I
take
feel
care
bad
of you.
for them. They're just getting smacked left
Thanks
and right.
so much, Necro. I'll move you back down now. Good luck.
They were
today.
coping
Hopefully we hear
yesterday
from
when
you
they
after the
lost,
match
and they're
too,
gonna cope today
with
too.
the winners interview there. Good luck.
Horrible, man.
Thanks. Have a nice stream.
Hopefully I will, to be honest with you. All right, and now we have failures.
Okay, let's see.
In the call with us here, I believe leadership representing failure here. Notexka, how are you feeling about today's match? Also, did you think that failure was going to make it this far in the tournament? There's been a lot of shit talk towards failure. A lot of people don't like you guys.
Yes, hello. Yes, I'm not Exca. Especially Spid, you know. He's definitely an absolute menace on the old Twitch chat when I've been seeing it. Overall, I mean, we came to the war game scene a bit late. We sort of, when the tournament came up, we were like, okay, let's start screaming. We got pretty humbled pretty quickly by Orca, and then we were like, oh, so we put in our card, like, you know, we're gonna get first.
What about
and, like,
against Team
disaster
Bleed? You
is
guys got
bad,
humble
all
against
this
Team
stuff,
Bleed
but,
too,
like,
man.
it definitely humbled us, and then we started screaming more and more. So we didn't think we'd fully come this far, but overall we're super happy with our performance as we've improved. So yeah, it's been a tough road, but we are very happy with where we've come. So
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that's good to hear. So, okay. So, just before we get into this match here, obviously we're lined up. I have not covered pick ban quite yet. Is there anything that you want to say first? Like, I know that you've been leading this guild for months, and I said the same thing with our previous interview as well. This has to be a tremendous feeling to make it this far with this many guilds. This is likely the largest tournament we'll ever see for Throne and Liberty. I doubt we'll see more guilds than this ever. And to come this far and prove your guys' self like this, I mean, you guys had such a great showing yesterday. I actually think you could have won either of those, if not both of those matches.
Coping.
If,
they had no chance.
Go a different way, and things are played differently. But like,
Blue Squadron is paid actor.
Good as a leadership core. Is there anything you want to say to your guild or to the other people that helped you get this far?
yeah, it feels great. I mean, it feels great to have come this far, and like props to Hand of Unity. Like they've got lots of experience in the war game scene. So hopefully, if there's another tournament, we can run it back and can really show that we can improve more and we can beat them guys. So, but like to all the other guilds we scrimmed, like, you know, we're grateful to them. Like
Bro, this guy's being too nice, man. I feel bad for
win sort of mentality. So
for memeing on him now, man.
People are down right now. Our guild, like, you know, we can still show up today. Maybe we'll even take a W from Disaster. We'll have to see.
Come on,
but
man.
overall, like, you know, it's just great to be here. What you've done for the community is fantastic. So,
it's
like,
too humble. It's too nice, man.
We've made lots of other friends through other guilds. So, yeah, thank you.
Well, that's really good to know. Yeah, like the entire point of making it a TNL EU War Games Discord was so that it could be a community Discord people could use to kind of connect with one another. And the team could kind of bond and stuff over, whether that be through toxicity or through mutual respect for one another. So I'm glad that it's having that effect. Is there anything you want to say to your opponents today? I know that we had it explained that you guys used to be like super beefing with each other hard initially when the game came out, and there was a few sieges that were kind of rocky, but now you've kind of made up, so now it's like kind of good fights. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, so I couldn't quite hear the full interview with what Necro said, but like, yeah, we were having a nice peaceful time on Conquest, getting our free farm, and then all of a sudden Disaster roll up in the night, and we're like, oh, we hated them for a while because they ruined our free farm, man. It was very sad, but
free farm,
yeah,
typical PvE guild, man.
In the war games, they brought all their GG players together. Like, they really showed us, like, you know, they meant it, and it really, like, game respects game, right? And like at this point when we lost to them and we keep trying to scrim them,
Free
like
farm
we
ruined
have
is
some respect for them,
crazy.
and now we're good friends. Like me and Gedgetel brought peace to our guilds, I'd say. So yeah, we'll have some good matches today, hopefully, and the beef is squashed.
Right
now
on.
we're
Well,
friends, so.
yeah, no, it'll
Yeah.
be good fights either way. I'm hoping that I get to talk to you again in a winners interview after the matches today.
Oh, we're
I
getting
wish you the
winners
best of
and
luck
losing
to all
interview.
you,
That's
you and all of your
crazy.
guys. You guys have been shit talked the whole tournament, right? Some of which were by
Yeah.
some of our shoutcasters, and you guys made it through anyway, which I think shows some really cool grit. And I think that probably
Yeah.
helped you guys bond a lot more over it too. So you guys have
Yeah.
had a phenomenal run. I wish you guys the best today. Good luck out
Hey, yo,
there.
he's calling me
Thank you.
out,
If I can say
bro.
one more thing.
Yeah, go
What
ahead.
is
You
this?
can't spell stupid without spit, boys. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Let's go. Let's get this W.
All right, right
Okay.
on, buddy. Good luck out there. I'll move you back down. All right, so we are ready to go, baby. You got it, dude. And that's why the pre-war interviews are so
That's
important. That was really
crazy.
cool. We didn't get to do that for the NA tournament, so we thought we'd try it for this one. And I appreciate you guys coming in and talking here. Hey, it looks like the coin toss has already happened, Shiku. We're ready to get into our first match
Oh,
of the
that
day
was
here.
good.
Disaster, death versus failure. Shiku, let's talk
Let me
about
move
this
my-
pick ban a
move
little
my
bit.
cam.
I'll let you break it down.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
apparently
God.
failure won and they chose pick. And talking about the pick later on, Disaster has banned Malakar, Morokai, and Aelon, which you do expect, honestly. Like Morokai specifically.
Wait,
I'm
who got the pick?
Surprised that they didn't want to take that power pick, but seems like they wanted to avoid that. The pick, however, is, as we've seen yesterday, a map that failure lost on, which
Oof.
is Kalazan. Pretty interesting pick. It's kind of as
Kalazan.
they're trying to send a message and take the practice here today on a map that they had a bad time
mean,
on yesterday.
Yeah,
Failure
banning,
lost
like Malakar,
to
Morokai,
Froost
Aelon, they
in
don't wanna take
Khazar
kind of a
on
50-50 map, but
Kalazan
then they
like
pick
10 times in a
Kalazan.
row.
It's like,
Like we
prepped
clapped
it. They
them
must
on it.
have
I don't
been
know why
prepping
they keep
last
going
night
Kalazan.
After that match
Like
went
that's
poorly, you know, like that maybe they've
failure
got a
is
little bit more
known to lose
experience.
on that map over and over again. Wait,
Then
F?
their opponents here. We'll see if it kind of helps them out. But our first
Come
map
on,
of
man.
the day is going to be Kawazan, which is kind of a heated map, guys. Is you have this
Kawazan.
tight little room and choke points that you kind of have to push through, but it's absolutely flippable.
Bro,
We've seen this
Failur's about to
Riftstone
get rolled.
very, very close many times in the past. As we get ready to go here, make sure you guys have
Bro,
your predictions.
Disaster
I believe
is
somebody already ran the
extremely
prediction,
strong.
So I really appreciated whichever mod.
I was not
on
expecting
top of that
them,
for me.
but
Might have been Note, might have been Cheap,
big
who knows.
respect to
But thank you so
Disaster.
much, guys. It looks like the game
Like they
is
practice
now live,
and practice.
for the very first round.
And
of
I
the
think
day.
they're top 3 guild for
Disaster,
sure,
Death
on
versus
you.
failure. This is a best of 3 match for our 3rd place run in this tournament.
Okay.
Just like
Disaster is
winning
farming
out,
failure
on the
already.
initial spawn here, but some of the
Bro,
failure may have already
is this?
run
Where's
through.
failure,
and
bro?
this is what happens: is one guild snowballs really hard at the
Where
start
is-
if they
where is
all
this?
spawn in at the same location. Look at that disaster coming. They're all grouped up and stuff, but I wouldn't doubt it if
Bro,
failure
where
has
is
already spawned in
failure?
another location. This is just their stragglers.
Where are
and
they?
Disaster had just kind of gotten
They're probably
the jump
hiding on the
there.
boomstone,
Now,
let's be real.
Disaster
Probably
moving
went in
for
from the other
very
side.
First time,
This was just
in
bait.
towards the Riftstone.
Yeah, they're already in
We're
there.
seeing looks like a few of them getting through now.
Wait,
and
no,
we're
they're
waiting
not
for
in
failure
there?
to get in here. That first engagement did not go
Wait,
failures.
where
way,
is
Shiku.
failure, yo?
Yeah, honestly, as I mentioned all the time about Kalazan, this is like the kind of the Riftstone that definitely
Oh
favors
my
being
God.
the first on the Riftstone, as there's a lot of choke points
Bro-
you can basically play around.
Bro,
and as
this
if
is
you
over.
are solid at holding these choke points and you have the good coordination for it, you
loud.
essentially just make it extremely hard for the other team to come back. But then again, they are fighting against failure, who has time and time again this tournament showcased a
Showed
very
nothing.
high
They showed
level of
nothing.
tactics.
No,
so
they
might
haven't shown
actually be
any
able to find a way
tactics.
in.
Yeah, and we'll do our picture in
Failure
picture
hasn't
here
showed
because
any
this is kind
tactic
of a
this whole
difficult
tournament.
one. I'll
Look,
let you
these
give
guys
the
are
disaster
glazing
perspective. I'll go
failure
towards
when failure is
here,
taking big
and
L's
try to
on
move
L's.
towards
It makes
them.
no
They were
sense.
just in this hallway. It looks like they're rotating
Like,
out.
you should be
now
glazing
around. Again, guys,
disaster
there's
here, not
multiple ways
failure.
You can enter this Riftstone.
Bro,
here. It
failure
looks
can't be
like, just
two
a few of
two
them,
disaster players
in
versus the
this
whole failure
hallway
team,
right here.
and
So
they're
make sure
losing.
that- yeah, it looks like
That's
the
crazy.
rest of the guilds you can see on Shiku's
That's
stream in the
crazy.
bottom right there. Two
What's
statics
happening?
fighting out here on me. I'll try to run around towards
Wait,
the
this
other
guy-
swan where
this
the
guy
rest
from
of
Failure is AFK
seems to be
even.
waiting over here.
Oh
and again,
my
they faced
God,
this exact
AFK
same
players
thing
too.
yesterday. So you know they're ready for it today. And honestly,
Oh my
whatever
God.
they did yesterday, they almost beat Hand of Unity yesterday on this map, who a lot of people think is going to go on and win the tournament today. Actually, this is not all
Oh,
of
it's
failure.
Chags.
I think
I
the
mean,
rest of
Chags is
failure
basically
actually
an
gonna come
NPC
through,
though.
guys. They're actually going
Like,
to fly
he
through the
does nothing.
window. if I had to guess, potentially.
They're not gonna fly
you
through
can
the
actually
window. They
fly
will
down
get
from
L.
up
They'll
above
take
there,
so
and you can
much
see the
else.
scouter here, Halo Man.
We used to
from
slap them
Disaster
when they used to
scouting down now.
fly
Here's
through
the
there.
first
I think
push
I actually
in
have
from
some of the war
Failure
games
from
against
one side
Failure
of the hallway.
on my
It is
stream,
not
right?
very many people though, as they
From,
need more
Khazar.
people to support them. Coming from the other, there's Chixie, Nerwin, and Nasty getting through the other way. Failure starting to make their way into the Riftstone room here, but it is an
Which guild I'm playing? I'm playing
batter,
Sin Bleed.
battle against Disaster. Shiku, I don't know. Is this working, Shiku?
I don't even
This
know
is
like
not- bro,
who to tell is
Failure is
winning
getting
right now because
smashed,
Failure
bro.
still has a very solid number coming
they're
from the
so
back line as
bad.
well, trying to go for a pincer.
How did they
here.
get to
And
the?
it seems like the
I
fight
don't
is
understand
going
how they got to
kinda
the
both
semis in the
ways,
first
So
place.
it's not like I can say for sure that Disaster
Like, they
is
beat-
winning.
who did they
Neither
beat
can I
again?
say
They
that
beat
Failure is
Visceral,
winning
right?
Either it seems like it's still going both ways.
don't know,
However, it
bro.
seems like the tide is favoring
That's actually
Disaster
crazy.
here as they're slowly thinning down the numbers and they're taking control of the Riftstone.
Yeah, and we saw this yesterday from
my
Hand of
God.
Unity. We saw some crazy good
Orca.
macro,
They beat yeah, but
in
Orca
terms
has
of trying to
been meanie,
cast
bro.
through these bars here, and basically
Because Orca,
control of the
I don't
Riftstone
think
here
they
to
even were
prevent a
running
two-pronged
proper melee
attack
evasion on
like
everybody
this.
and stuff.
It
Like,
looks like Disaster has kind of learned from what
I
they saw
just,
yesterday.
from what
in
I've
Hand of
seen,
Unity
Orca
doing,
is
although a
good.
lot
Don't
of
get me
guilds
wrong.
love
If
to
they
sit in
actually
this
put in the
choke point right
effort
here,
and
we
had
saw Hand of
multiple
Unity actually
gear
choosing to
sets
fight
and actually
out in
invested
this
in
lobby where I'm
Lucent
standing
into
right
the
now.
gear, Orca
And
would have
then
done really good.
When they fight out here,
But
they have
Orca
people
was
casting
meanie, bro.
through the bars.
Orca
which
was
of
just
course
waiting.
helps
The
them
second
win
Orca
that
was gonna
fight,
meet a strong
but
team, they would
also helps
lose.
control the other choke as well, which was really cool.
I
It
know
doesn't look
Keck
like
and
Disaster
Crimser
has as
from
many people
Crimser
committed to
from
that,
Sin. Yeah, they're in Sin.
this time,
He's in
Shiku.
Sin Nova. I'm in Sin Bleed.
Yeah, that's also very true. It's looking like Disaster
Orca had
is
no
playing
melee. Yeah,
more
that's what I'm
like
saying. I mean, Orca was just
organized in the
meanie,
sense
bro.
of,
They
like,
didn't
they're
invest
just,
in
like,
the gear.
holding these choke
They gave
points
up
pretty
early.
tightly.
You
They're
know,
not
it's
as good as
it was to
Hand
be
of Unity
expected.
showcased yesterday in any way, shape, or
Like,
form, which is still fine, but it's
I mean,
pretty
I guess
interesting
you want to
see that
save
this
your
is the
money on
map
Lucent for
that
T2,
Failure
so I
picked,
kind of
and
understand why you would do
assume
that,
they
right?
had something primed, but it doesn't seem like it's going in their favor, and that is looking like a
I
very
just
rough
realized
start
my
for them.
chat is over
Well,
the
I
other
think they're a
chat.
little off base,
Let me
mainly
change
because
my chat
and the
over
reason
here,
this looks really
probably.
one-sided here is because there's only 10 or 15 failure members at each entrance, guys. And the problem is what Disaster is basically just collapsing down with 40 members on top of 15.
Bro, I
And
said
then the
this
other two
yesterday.
sides- I mean,
I
of course it's
said
gonna look one-sided
Failure
when
is gonna
you're-
lose
when
twice
you're
today,
totally split like that. But that's
and
what
Failure is gonna
feels
lose
they have
twice
to do to try to
tomorrow.
win this one. And now we see Disaster coming out towards the spawn here. Failure, I don't think, realizes that Disaster has been this bold. You can see a lot of Disaster still now pulling back into the choke point out there as Failure. Again,
gotta
this is
talk
only
some-
2 or 3
I gotta talk
statics
some smack in the chat.
overall from Failure. So the rest of Failure fighting elsewhere on the map. And this is Disaster strategy.
Actual
to
PvE
always
guilds right
engage
here.
one
We have
side
P-
of
we
the
have
pincer,
PvE POV
before they're able to get
from
ready,
Failure.
set, and go here. It does look like the Riftstone has opened up.
Anybody
It's gonna
know
be
if
Disaster
Failure
trying to take it
Failure is
here
disbanding
first.
after this?
Failure
I think
just,
they might disband
sadly
after this. I'm
able
not
to
gonna
get
lie.
a push going yet, Shiku.
That's pretty bad for them.
Yeah, Disaster, like, even though they're having, like,
Bro,
less
Disaster
numbers here, it
is
seems
spawn
like Failure is definitely
camping
having a very
them, bro.
hard time getting rid of them and pushing through.
Yo,
but they
Disaster, please, chill on them.
I do not think they have the numbers
spawn
to
camping
actually get
Failure.
a full engagement here. Even though they're trying to go for a pincer one more time,
my.
they are
Bro,
actually
can we just
winning this
can we just
other
go
side,
to
but
the
as
next
you said,
round?
Disaster
Can
seems
we
to
just
take
jump?
the fight on one
Please.
side and then they turn into the other side, which might actually bite
Might
them
as
in the
well,
ass
guys,
in
might
this
as well,
instance,
right?
As Failure is finding success and are finally capping this Riftstone.
There we go. Failure clearly with a
Failure ain't
strategy
getting
that other
nothing.
people don't understand. As
Nah.
it looked like their pincer attack wasn't going to work out for them. But this time, 3-pronged
Bro,
pincer
Failure keeps
coming
trying to
through
get
and
this
actually
map, and
managing
they
to
lose
not only
every
get
single
the cap
time.
on the stone, but also getting 25 boots on the stone.
Yo,
as
what's
well
up,
here.
Lulz?
Their numbers starting
Layla, how
to
you
thin a
doing?
little bit now as Disaster starts to win this skirmish in our very first match of the day.
Bro, this
here,
is
it looks like Disaster
horrible.
again getting the upper hand on them, but that was an excellent push. It looked
And
like
the worst part is this
Failure
is
on the
Failure's
one side
best
was just
map.
going
This
a
is
little bit too
the
slow,
map that
but
Failure
as it turned out, Disaster got a little
likes
bit
to
too
play on.
split, and Failure managed to push.
But if they're not
through
winning
and
this,
get their
or even
main-
getting close,
their
they're not
primary
winning the
members
other one.
through the
It's
choke
just
point.
not
And again, we saw
happening,
this
to be
yesterday.
honest.
It looked so one-sided for Hand of Unity. All we could do yesterday was praise them, Shiku, and then out of nowhere, Failure
That's just
blitzes
GG,
into
bro.
the room, takes the cap, and
Guys.
like there were only 2 minutes left on the clock before Hand
Also,
of
let
Unity
me
was
turn
able
off
to
my
actually
game.
take it back.
Yo,
from
guys, what do you
them.
guys think
So
about this?
I
This
think
is the
Failure
better.
playing
This is
just
better
like
to
they
watch,
played
right?
yesterday.
Than the
And
actual
we've
game
got our
because failure is so
opponents
bad.
right where they went, right where we want them, and they're absolutely
Let's
farming
exit
them the
the
whole time.
game.
And then and then they come in and they almost win it. So I actually think we might see like a reverse cap. They might wait an extra couple minutes this time and then try to execute the same strategy they did yesterday.
Horrible.
Yeah, I do believe that obviously failure should not take this lightly. I don't think they should like feel like they
Yeah, my
won
character
this
goes
just
crazy,
yet,
right?
Because Hand of Unity is a very strong guild, and if failure managed like getting that cap like to that level that even made Hand of Unity sweat a little bit, I think they might actually make a huge comeback against Disaster, and they definitely need to be on their toes so that they don't get picked up like what happened with Hand of Unity yesterday.
Yeah, failure diving into this room here, and I find it interesting that they chose Kawazan, right? Clearly, and they kind of let Disaster have the room early, almost.
Oh my God,
intentionally,
Chags is going for the
just like
cap.
they did
Is
with
he
Hand of
useful for
Unity,
something?
But like clearly
Damn,
they have a strategy
Chags.
for it. Like they can cap it
Chags
whenever they want.
actually
They come in
getting
here, they got
caps.
another cap down once
That's
again,
crazy.
just to kind of start one up and see what they could do.
I would
But,
not
like,
expected
I'm
that
not sure
at
if
all.
this is necessarily the play. You
He
know, you
actually
have to
got
think about
caps.
the pick ban a little bit here.
Yeah,
How
I
is that
definitely agree.
possible?
Like, it's pretty interesting to see that they went for Kawazan, especially after yesterday. I did not think they would ever want to play on this map after that, but surprisingly they went for it,
I mean,
which led me to assume they have something planned.
Why
or
would you not
they just
expect
wanna
them to
take the
do something that
practice
doesn't
possible.
work
Maybe
once?
now that they didn't get rank
mean,
1 or
it
2,
is
they
failure
decided,
after all.
you know what, let's YOLO whether we get rank 3 or 4, it doesn't matter, and let's just get this practice run going.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I was gonna
Guys,
say, yeah, make sure you're getting
Taylor's
all the
getting
people, 'cause there's people
slaughtered,
just
bro.
behind you. There's a massive amount of fighting going on in that.
So what are we
hallway, you know?
thinking, chat? We
I would
thinking,
get the rest of those people in there. There's a
do we
lot of
think
fighting going
Hands of
on in
Unity
that
or Sin
hallway,
wins the
in
finals?
the bottom right down there, and I'm trying to cover the wrist.
I'm kind of sweating. I'm not gonna
right now
lie.
because Disaster
for that game.
pushing down this. They saw Hand of Unity yesterday.
It's
get
gonna be
overwhelmed from
tough
this
for
direction,
Sin.
and they keep basically collapsing. That's only about a third of Failure's main force right there, and Disaster is pushing at them with at least 30 people right there. And so like yeah, their
Disaster
plan is to basically outnumber them on one side,
actually
and then
getting
basically
smashed.
just try to drive them back across the board with just one strong, convincing push on each side at different times. And it did work that time, as a Failure basically pushed fully off the stone now.
Sorry, Failure getting smashed.
Yeah, I just like to see how Disaster, even though they were a
Bro,
guild that people were
please,
saying
Failure,
are
do
not gonna
something.
do too well,
Do
they are
something.
showcasing a very high level of strategy.
Why are you just running into the choke? Oh
what
my
Hand of
God.
Unity was doing yesterday.
Are they
And the way
actually
they're
doing a
holding
double
the
push?
chokes
I
and the
mean,
way
if
they're,
you look at the
like,
minimap,
moving
they're
back
trying to
and forth
push from
between
each
points to
side, it
assist
seems like, right?
accordingly,
They're
and they
pushing-
are getting great
They're
success
pushing from
out of
this
it as
side,
well. It's
from the
almost
Cobbledown
as
room.
if
They're
I'm
trying to push
rewatching
here. They're
Hand
trying
of
to push
Unity
out,
playing
but
all over again.
Disaster is just
Gosh,
everywhere.
Disaster though, I mean,
They're
like,
everywhere.
Yeah, I understand we're giving Failure a fair amount of props here, but gosh, man, Disaster is so
Yeah, you guys are
strong, man.
glazing
They come
Failure
down
for
this
no
hallway
reason.
as a unit.
Stop
They are
glazing Failure,
all
yo.
One brain, one force, one hive mind.
Actual
And you can see
glazers.
the moment that the shot caller says go, everyone steps down the hallway, and the
Come on,
target
man.
focusing coming out for the individual statics, as he said in the pre-game interview there. Look at how
Oh,
quickly
my
these
God.
people die on my screen here. You can see, hey, they hit the go button on one person, bam, that person's health bar gets obliterated. That's from 3 or 4 players hitting you at the same time like this, and that kind of unison right there is exactly what you expect out of a potentially third place guild like this.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
definitely playing this.
honestly,
very well.
Failure
I feel
is
like
probably like
Failure
a
is slowly starting to gather up
top
their forces.
200
They're slowly picking up
guilds
the people
on
that are trying to,
EU,
like, hold them in the chokes,
but
and they might
I don't know
actually have
how
a
they
very
made
good
it to
push
top 4.
incoming. However, I can definitely imagine
Like,
Disaster
let me
leadership
find the
just
elephant
sitting there
meme.
grinning right now, as they did say they do expect themselves to win this one.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to go into the rift and monitor what's going on in that stone so that I don't miss anything,
Let me
I'm
see if I
actually
can find-
outside right now watching it. It is actually absolute chaos. And I'll be honest with you, I think that Disaster watched the VOD yesterday, and they know that if they
Like-
let Failure set up, get ready, get set.
I feel
they
like
absolutely
Failure
can.
paid.
Failure
They
was
played-
testing
they
them
paid
before.
blue.
They ran in.
They
got
paid
the
blue
cap a
to
couple
give them,
times, like, okay,
easy-
yeah, we
easy
can
brackets.
absolutely basically do the
Or they
exact
paid
same
the
thing we
opposition
did
guild, 'cause
yesterday,
this
and
is
Disaster
not
says,
a fourth
"Nuh-uh,
place
no, you
guild
can't."
fighting
that's
right
why
now.
they're trying to force the fight outside here, guys. They're like Hand of Unity looked overwhelmingly
They can't even
dominant
get
yesterday, but
inside the
refused to leave
room.
the Riftstone for any reason.
They can't even get
Disaster with
inside.
a far different strategy this time. You'll notice that
They're literally
like 10 or
sitting
15 of them
outside,
are
getting
still
their
on that
heads
Riftstone
slapped
there,
off.
and the rest
What
of
is
them are
this?
basically skirmishing out here.
Bro, this is
very
embarrassing.
intentional, as they're trying to keep the fight out here. They're trying to keep Failure from organizing and pushing them from 3 or 4 fronts at the same time. Because again, they
Actual
noticed that
resident
Hand
sleeper,
of
bro.
Unity, who is supposed to be stronger than Disaster and all these other guilds,
Oh my
almost
God.
lost yesterday to Failure on this Riftstone with the same strategy. As dominant as they looked, they
Failure
know
making
they
me
can
fall
lose here
asleep,
too.
guys.
Yeah, definitely. I do think
I was at least hoping a little back and forth.
Slowly, but
I mean, I was
these
expecting a one-way
engages in
game
which
because
somehow
I
wiping
mean they're
Disaster.
horrible.
Like you can tell they already are on point
Bro,
again.
Disaster
They
is
are
just
getting the cap
farming
again, and they seem
them.
to be actually
they have
thinning
more
down
people.
Disaster.
They are
again.
farming
But
them.
somehow Disaster just bounces back.
Okay, maybe we'll get something now.
And I think
Maybe.
that's where Failure needs to work on, and they need to make sure to hold their ground a bit longer.
No, it's
maybe
too
will
late.
actually find
Disaster.
success in these
I mean, the
last 12
second they
minutes.
start taking the point,
and see,
Disaster is
that's
like,
exactly what I'm
we're not
talking
letting
about,
that
guys. That's
happen.
why
They come back.
Disaster is trying to keep the fight outside. Look how close this
Oh
fight
my
actually
God.
is. I understand it was so deceptive before, and it looked like, oh, they're just farming them on spawn. No, they are actually trying. It's part of the strategy. They're trying to keep Failure from doing this to them. As the big Failure swell comes through, they hit almost 25% on the contribution.
Disaster is outplaying them every single time. They literally let them come into the cap and then just smash them.
Again, starting to rally on in here, starting to get the short end of the stick one more time though. But again, that has to be a scary feeling when the other guild gets on top for even a few moments on a map like Kawazan. You can end up basically all of you spawning outside for like instantly, like oh, now they have control of all the choke points. Now they have control of the rift, and
They
look
can't
how
even
high
get
their
over
percentage
20%
gets, you know what
cap.
I mean? And I'll be honest with you, Disaster's actually having a hard time quelling this rebellion here, as Failure is giving them a run for their money.
Blue is coping again.
Yeah, I do admit, like Failure is definitely starting to slowly build up the momentum, but it's
crazy.
just not quite there
Bro,
yet. And you can clearly tell by the
Failure?
leaderboard as well that Disaster is just
Failure
like fully dominating at
34.
the moment in terms of DPS, which
What-
is just
what does that even
insane
stand
to
for?
see.
34?
I do know that Failure seems to be like taking this.
Is that their new guild in, 'cause they left, right?
Because we lost on it, but even then, you should not expect on a third and fourth match, like ranking-wise, this level of dominance on the leaderboard, unless something is just fundamentally going wrong in this
It
fight.
is. Everything about
Yeah,
Failure
I
is
would
fundamentally
agree, but
wrong.
Failure was, I'll be honest with you, Failure's been losing on the leaderboards in a lot of their previous matches too, and they made it all the way to this third place match. So, and again, we've seen in many matches of this tournament, the leaderboard means nothing at the end of the day. It does not tell the full story of the match. Look how many people they have on the objective right now. It's neck and neck with Disaster, despite the fact that Disaster does have more damage on the leaderboard. That's partly because they got the initial spawn advantage on them. That's a lot of damage right there. They've basically
Failure getting
them
absolutely
on one side or the
wrecked.
other
It's
and
not even funny.
bulldozed through them. That's a lot
Completely
of damage right there.
smashed.
Of course, that's going to contribute to their kills overall. I would say that these players are actually a lot closer, but Failure is trying to execute a much more delicate
I don't
strategy
understand
here.
though
And
what Failure is
Disaster,
trying
I
to
think
do.
very clearly
Are they just
has
running
the
in,
edge
feeding kills?
between these guilds. I don't think that that's up for debate.
Because right now there's no
question, I think
strategy. They're just
Disaster
running
is
in. If
just
you
a
look
little
up here,
bit
they're just
stronger in this
continuously
tournament.
just
But
running
Failure, I
in.
think, demonstrating that
There's no
they have
regroup. There's
stronger
no course of
strategy
action. They're
overall.
not
At
even
least they
trying
have
to come
strong enough
inside
strategy,
at all. Just
that
standing
they're
there
able
getting
to make
absolutely
up that
smashed.
difference, at times
Yo, what
here.
up, Slate? How you doing, man?
21 against 26.
Long time no
It does
see.
look like it's gonna
What
get
you been
shut
up to?
down one more time. They're gonna have to come through and cap this. But again, they're in constant battle on this Riftstone now. As Disaster tries to push them off, they want to move this fight away. We're at the 9.5-minute mark here. This is around last time when we saw Chags come in and take that cap, and then out of nowhere,
Chags
Failure
trying
flipped
again,
the
I guess.
stone, and then Hand of Unity.
Bro,
just
they can't
completely
stop
on the back
Chags?
foot, had to
How can they
recap it
not
against
stop
you.
Chags?
Yeah, from what I'm noticing, what Failure is doing strategy-wise is that they're trying to thin the numbers outside.
The Wandering
As they keep
Tarislan? Is he
prolonging
playing
these
Tarislan?
fights, they slowly start
Damn,
thinning these
son.
numbers that are trying to fight them
Me, I'm
outside.
playing Throne
But
Liberty,
as
man.
they
Playing
find
Throne
success,
Liberty.
they all of a sudden,
That's
like,
my
go
main
in,
MMO right
cap that
now,
stone,
and then
funnel
probably
all
gonna
their
check out
numbers
Blade and
in
Soul
at the same
Neo
time, in which they just
in 3 days.
overwhelm the main block from Disaster. And that
Maybe
seems
I
to
will
have
check
been
a little bit of
working,
Crystal of
but
Atlan.
Right now, even though they went for the cap, they seem to be overcommitting.
But mainly Throne
outside,
Liberty. I'm
which
waiting for the
I
big
think
update that
should
comes
change, and they need
on
to
the
get that
6th
point as they
for Throne
are
Liberty.
already winning that fight
Huge
outside.
update coming.
Yeah,
And they
you
should
for
just go
giving
and
us that.
assist.
Thank you for giving us that perspective. Some members of the audience asking why there's Disaster Rage on this match when they already had a team in the tournament. Guys, to be clear, no one player can play for a team that more than one team.
They're trying to
However,
get
if you're in
them
the same
disqualified.
alliance,
Yeah, typical
you can
Failure
help
stuff, man.
fill, right? So
Failure
there are
trying to get
players
people
from
disqualified,
Disaster.
saying
There are
people are
70
cheating.
players in the
Oh
guild,
my
only
god.
48 played in
Actual
Disaster Rage.
copium.
That means that the rest of the guild who didn't play in Disaster Rage in this tournament are eligible to help fill Disaster Death's roster today, and that's exactly what what you see. None of these players actually played for Disaster Rage in the first round
don't
of the
understand
tournament
the
that
rules.
we saw. They are different players, but they're still in the same guild, if that makes sense there. Disaster actually shutting the door on all of this aggression as we see the Riftstone perfectly clear. And I'll be honest with you, Disaster on edge, though, a little bit as we see you following the failure ball on in here. It's very difficult to track failure as they're attacking from so many fronts at once.
Yeah, but Disaster seems to be doing a very good job at the AoE damage. Like, the AoE damage they have is just insane. The amount of damage that just, like, completely deletes the HP bars is, like,
so they dying more and more, though?
And they seem to be holding a pretty
Throne Liberty is dying
stance.
because everybody's waiting for the big update.
Right now against
when the big update comes, it's going to get, like, 100,000 players again. I mean, that's how AGS does it.
Look at this blob.
AGS, every time every game they work on, they do these massive content updates and marketing, and they bring back 100,000 players.
Now, and I think they're very intentionally.
Yeah, I mean, Tarzan has what? Not even 1,000 players left. It's
hopefully
completely
we
dead.
should see them swell around the 5 to 6 minute mark if they're going to actually try to execute.
I think Tarzan just had a major update too.
So it should be in the next 2 minutes or so. They want to do it right at the end of time remaining so that Disaster doesn't have a time to reflip the node. That's exactly what Hand of Unity did to them yesterday. They dumped all of their cards on the table. They went all in. They actually did manage to win it, but then they did it too soon. And they were able to take it back from them. So we'll see. Failure is setting up right now. Unfortunately, Shiku giving us that outside perspective. We can see them running around out there. I'm too afraid to leave the Riftstone room because suddenly 40 Failure will just show up out of nowhere and when neither of us will be in here.
Yeah, that's pretty
I'm taunting them in the chat like usual, guys. You guys know. Gotta talk my smack to Failure.
I just, however, have to give it
Healers
to
are stat panning. Yeah, probably so.
That was memed on throughout the entire
Look at them
tournament, and they have just
spamming
been
heals.
time and time again showcasing.
I mean, that's what all the healers do. They just spam heals.
To the point that they're now playing for the 3rd and 4th place, and they are showcasing an insane.
Bro, I'd rather see Disaster versus Sin again.
Yeah, there's the
or Disaster versus Hand of Unity would be crazy.
Sides. That's, oh my god, they came from the back way as well.
See, they're trying to come from every single side, and it's not gonna work.
Set up for it, but they're just overwhelming them, and there's the swell
you see
into
Chags
the
going for the pull.
Failure.
But somebody stop Chags.
No one there to stop him.
They have no CCers.
They do have more people on the
literally no CCers. Who is CCing for Disaster?
Disaster one more time here.
Bro, I haven't seen anybody even try to CC Chags once. Not even a single time. I've seen any CC happening on Chags at all.
Like, it's pretty impressive to see.
Like, how is that even possible?
Worked pretty well against Hand of Unity. They even made them run for the money, but right now Disaster is just like doing a very good job at shutting it down. Like, the maximum it has reached was what, 25%? That is the maximum I think we've seen in this match. Disaster is just like doing a very good job at just bouncing back and countering even if they lose that initial fight. They're just really good.
Disaster is full control here, like actual full control. I mean, I don't know who the shot caller is or whoever, but bro, whoever it is playing perfectly.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a reason they almost beat Sin, right?
So,
I mean, they know what they're doing. They're actually good.
Definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think that as time starts to tick down here,
you know what I think? I think whoever loses the final
dominant in this first match
should fight Disaster.
Almost more dominant than we saw Hand of Unity be yesterday. I think they were hoping that Disaster might not be as ready for this map, but like they were clearly almost more ready in this case, mainly because they saw Failure's strategy yesterday. They were able to see it and they were prepared for it today in the event that they did choose Kawazan. You have to look ahead to the next map here. Clearly they don't want to play on Grand Alon. What do you think is the play here against the guild that kind of has the edge on you?
I honestly do believe
Chags
I would love to see Disaster play against Failure.
Yo, Chags is actual useful.
That map will
that is insanity. Bro has like minus stats. He has minus damage and minus everything.
Like, as you mentioned,
but he's able to get the cap.
They do seem to have a very solid target acquisition. I've even mentioned that.
Why didn't you play yesterday? I am insane bleed and I've been on vacation. I came back today.
And that
like
is
literally an hour ago I came back.
Their target acquisition is just
even if I was playing in the tournament, I couldn't play.
Yeah, we see Failure trying to swell one more time down the different hallways here, but they just failed their cap on the Riftstone as they pulled off. Initially, a fair amount of them actually got slept right there. A fair amount of Disaster actually got slept right there and woke right back up, sadly. But Failure backing off one more time. I think they're going to try one more time for a cap.
Low-key regret.
Time here. They don't have all
that
the time in the world.
Bleed
There's
is
only
not
3
playing
minutes
the
and 20
tournament.
seconds left in this first map. I believe that this is going to go Disaster's
looking at the
way
guilds
very
like Failure,
convincingly, and I
well,
think it's
we would have
because,
easily
again,
gotten to
Disaster
the
just
finals
saw
or the semifinals.
their strategy yesterday. Failure thought they'd run back the same strategy they tried again, and Disaster was just more ready for it.
Failure has no idea what they're doing. I think the 3 guilds we would have lost to would be, of course, our own guild, Sin Nova, possibly. I mean, I don't know, because the thing is, Sin Nova, the reason why they're so strong is because they're playing with Sin Bleed players, right? Who are the top damagers and healers in their team. So I don't know how good Sin Nova would have done without Sin Bleed. But I think that the teams that we would have lost to as Sin Bleed would be would have been Disaster and Hands of Unity. Except those 2 guilds, I don't think anybody would have beaten us.
And they swell onto the Riftstone one more time.
Okay, Disaster going for last push, and they're getting absolutely smashed again.
On the Riftstone than Failure, and they start to climb. Highest percentage we've seen them have all match long. It's Guardians, Pops, Remedies, everything they've got. They're pushing right now. They're up at 27. They have one more person on the Rift than Disaster. Disaster has Guardians running. At least the few people that do have Guardians available are running them right now as well.
Let's just go next game. Next game.
That Failure is trying to swell for the final time. And I'll be honest with you, that was definitely some life right there. I definitely think, obviously, Disaster has the upper hand here, but Failure shows life, and they show a lot of promise. Those 3-pronged attacks are not easy to pull off, Shiku.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of coordination that goes into this, and the fact that they're not only pulling it off, but also managing to find success with it and being able to cap showcases that Failure is obviously doing a very good job. But from what I've noticed is that when it comes to regathering, Disaster just has that advantage.
Like Failure makes a push and they just instant delete it.
Or Disaster loses a fight,
just
and they're both starting to regather.
A full diff,
like
man.
On the way back
it's a
from
skill
the
diff.
that I'm watching,
Disaster
just finds a much better time picking off these targets as they come.
Because Failure has the
that
gear.
allows them to have they
just don't know what they're doing.
And I feel like that is where Failure needs to work on. The regathering is where Disaster is just outshining them, and that is leading to this level of dominance of the Riftstone.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible performance for Disaster in the first map of the day. This has to be a big boon for them as they move into the next match. Again, best of threes are all about momentum. You win
next
that
game.
Let's
match, finish this,
especially in a convincing manner,
finish this.
Like we're seeing here. It bodes very, very well for Disaster.
I want to watch the
finals.
Here.
So they're very excited. Failure is going to get the next map choice here.
Not really. I mean, everybody's just
like
playing the same meta.
You know what I mean? Like
double heals,
what do you throw?
spear.
Personally, my choice would try to be Cherno.
I mean, what you could do is you could have. Yo, Lulz, thank you so much for the bits. Thanks for 30 bits. Thank you, thank you.
Even though in my head, Disaster might play that better, but I do see where
it's
you're
not
coming
a class
from. I do see
bro.
that
It's full skill diff, maybe a little bit of gear diff.
Might actually
because I know Disaster
outplay them on an
possibly has
level
2 set gear, different sets of gear.
But I can't really think of any
I don't think Failure has it, even though they should, because they're a PvE guild. All they do is just farm PvE servers.
Tends to shine in these blobs, and you just want to avoid these blobs fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that leaderboard. A Staff Dagger leading the leaderboards. If you're a staff user out there, there is hope for you. 3.2 million damage from Gijutal.
I mean, the reason Gijutal is doing so much damage because everybody and the grandma is running melee evasion, right? So you're just shredding with that magic damage. It's absolutely shredding.
Let's see who has the highest damage taken in the lobby. I see 1.35 million for Cord. Great Sword SNS right there. 1.3. Yep, that's the highest.
Where's Chax? Let me show you. Chax is in the bottom. Chax is in the bottom. I told you, this guy is an NPC, bro. He casts points, he does nothing else. Oh my god. Bottom of the leaderboard. That's crazy, Chax. Come on, Chax. Really
just dominating that first match.
Come on, Chags. Oh, they're coping in the chat.
Yeah, that was actually pretty well played on Disaster's end. I would like to believe, though, even though I am an old Disaster fans, I do like Failure as well. I do want to believe that Failure was using this chance, that first fight, to kind of like take a little bit of practice on a map that they had a hard time on. That is what I would like to believe, at least.
This Kovazan is the only map that they're good at.
They will showcase what they're actually made of.
Like
but
Failure.
Obviously, Disaster is not an easy fight for them, and I do believe Disaster is just extremely strong in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited to see the second match of the
I mean,
day.
everybody's
Looks like
using
the first
daggers
one's
because of the
gonna go,
evasion. You have to have
Disaster's
daggers right
way
now.
here.
It's
They
melee
are
evasion meta in
1-0
T1.
up now in our third place
So
matches.
without
of the
dagger, you don't
day,
have
as we're
enough
gonna take a
evasion,
look
so
at
it's
our
pointless.
sponsor. I'm
So
gonna
you
throw it
want
over
to
to
be using
Throwley.
daggers to get that extra evasion, because without it, you're getting clapped. Only way you're getting away without playing evasion is if you're a tank.
Integrate member profiles into the Throwley
Or a healer, of
ecosystem
course.
with just one image upload. Simple, efficient, and
But yeah, everybody needs to run dagger, bro. It's just you need that evasion. It's too
Create
strong.
static war parties with our war party dashboard and distribute loot fairly with our intuitive DKP system. Post items, manage requests, and track points all in one place. It's loot distribution made easy. You get a sneak peek at our upcoming dynamic events feature, a sign-up sheet that automatically integrates a user profile to give you the composition.
Yeah, hashtag
Learn
ad.
more about your guild with our detailed statistics.
Wait, Rakaz is actually playing?
Command.
Ain't no
Plus,
way.
Stay on top of member updates with our handy/remind command. Don't let guild management hold you back.
The
Throwley is
goats.
the ultimate tool for Throwley Liberty players.
Rack
Ahead of
ass.
the game. Invite Throwley to your server today and take your guild to new
Let's
heights.
go.
There we go. Throwley is an alliance app, guys. It helps your members and your leadership course save so much time. Make sure you guys try !Throwley. There's a 2-week free trial going on right now, and then only one guild in your alliance needs to purchase it to have the whole alliance have access to it. Give it a look today. Code Blue Squadron at checkout gives you 15% off your first 3 months there. As we look at that first match, do you really think that Failure has a chance moving into round 2 here?
I would
Hell
like to
no.
believe that Failure, like, if they made it this far, like, let's be honest.
mean, I gotta
like,
cheer-
any
I gotta
guild that
cheer
made
for
it
my
this far
boy
definitely
Rakaz,
has
bro.
Potential to like rebound from these like kind of losses
In the
And
finals.
I do believe they definitely have what it takes to.
I mean, he's the
get
GOAT.
that second win and lead into a third match. However, Disaster, as we have seen time and time again, surprisingly, out of all their fights, they have been like pretty solid, honestly, at holding their ground. And I think they just got unlucky with fighting Synergy Nova that early on. Or maybe if they prepared a little better, I honestly think Disaster could have even made it to the finals. So I think
Okay, I
it's
think we
not
should
going to be an
relax a
easy
little bit
fight,
now.
but I do believe
I
Failure
think
has
Disaster
what it
maybe
takes
could have got to
secure the
finals
second
if they
win.
were on the other
Yeah,
bracket,
a lot of people
probably.
saying that the Failure Alliance is the strongest on the server, which
That's cap.
would prove untrue. In this case, if they end up, like, honestly, they could still be the strongest alliance overall on the server, mainly because they told me that all of their guilds are basically the same strength, but I have to think that since they only have one guild in the tournament here, their first guild got knocked out in round 1. So clearly that's probably not true. A. B, they probably took all of their best players from their
Talk about
various
Disaster,
guilds here, so
right?
this is the best of the best
Not Failure,
that they
'cause
have to
Failure
offer
is
here.
not.
They probably are one of the very strongest alliances on EU.
bench
To say
that
they're number
Bella
1, number 2,
PvE,
number
I'm
3
not going
in this
to Bella.
tournament, it does look like, again, based on that first match there, they
watching
might
View
just be
Party,
number
bro.
3 here. Failure has a
Nobody
want to
watch a Bell under your
Again,
PvE,
if
bro.
we
You
break
think I'm
down
Failure?
what map they should probably
I don't do
look
PvE,
into
I only do
next,
PvP.
I'm thinking. Again, is it? You're thinking Grand Alon? I don't think that Grand Alon is necessarily the play here. You're looking at a guild that, like, again, you saw Disaster play on Grand Alon yesterday, and if you don't think you're stronger than Sin Nova, then you probably don't want to fight Disaster Death on Grand Alon. Does that make sense? So, like, I think that is it? I mean, you could go to Talus, but it looked like they were out skirmishing you, right? So, like, I don't really think that Talus or Morokai are necessarily the answer here. Do you throw them like Malachar as a Kurt? Maybe you try to get on the rift faster?
Actually, good point. Yeah, I think Malachar, or as you said, what's it called? Chernobog. I do
mean,
see those two like being
There's
of
no way. I mean, Failure.
playable. Like I think Failure
anything
might have
here.
a chance on those two. You definitely
No
don't
matter
want
which
these
map,
fights,
you can
as
literally
mentioned.
tell
I don't
Failure to
think,
pick the map they want
skirmishes-wise,
without
they'll have a
bans,
good
and they
time
would
against
still
them
lose.
either. So I don't think.
So I don't know
they should go
why.
for any map that has
Why we're
this
even,
potential of, like skirmishing pretty
bothering.
often. More like they want to try to split them around a little bit. But then again, when we were looking at the outer side, you could tell that they were losing the skirmishes outside too.
They stacked the lineup.
It's
Who?
really hard
Disaster
to tell
or
what the
Failure?
play here is going to be for them.
Yeah, it's really difficult to know. What do you think the difference?
I mean, it's hard to
actually
stack
was
NPCs,
here?
right?
Well, first, let's finish breaking down the maps. I think. Oh, would you look at that? Pick Ban did finish. I'm a prophet. Did you know that? I am a literal prophet. I love being right. I just love
Like, it's
being
crazy.
right. So pick ban has happened. Okay. The bans keep in mind, Failure lost the first match, guys, so they automatically get to choose the map this time if they'd like, or they can choose to ban, whichever one is their preference. They chose to pick in this case. Disaster Death banned. Obviously, we can't play on Kawazan again. That map is gone. And Disaster Death actually banned Talus, Morokai, and Malakar. Very interesting bans. I feel like they would want to play on Morokai and Talus, but they banned them nonetheless. And
I mean, Disaster don't care. They're just banning whatever, bro.
Which I think actually might have Failure's greatest chance of success.
Yeah, I do think, like as you mentioned, Chernobog does seem like a good map for them to maybe find success on. So I do believe this is not a bad pick at all. However, it's definitely going to be a tough fight. But as you mentioned, you were asking like what went wrong there when it comes to Failure. I'm going to be honest. I've noticed that a few of them were not playing their usual picks for the tournament. So as I said, I would like to believe that this was more of a practice run for them. They wanted like to try different strategies. They wanted to see what they could achieve on this map that they've lost on against Hand of Unity and improve from it. And that is what I would like to believe. And now they should be coming back with their usual tactics and maybe they would pull something off. However, once again, Disaster is just absolutely strong and might give them a run for their money here.
So I'm curious, what do you think the difference here is? Because here's the thing. I think there was a lot of there was a big itemization diff in the first match right there.
It's just a skill diff, bro. It's
skill
diff,
really solid,
probably build diff, collar diff, player diff.
Able to pull off 3-prong attacks is not something that bad guilds are able to do.
PvE diff.
So clearly they're on that strategic level. Right, so like that doesn't seem to be the problem.
Like and I don't know, bro. It's all the diffs
a static
possible.
Communication diff either. I think it mainly was an itemization diff. You can't say it's a gear diff. Obviously, all of these guilds have had plenty of time to get gear. If your gear is trash at this point, it's because you're trash, right? So at this point, like it really comes down to how many different item sets you actually have.
Actually, copium diff, guys. That's what it is.
To whatever Failure is wearing. I think if you're Failure here, if I'm in the losing guild's place, I'm like, all right, guys, if we had evasion on last time, everybody put on endurance, right? Or vice versa, and
full
try
copium,
to mix up
full
on Disaster.
copium.
And I think you could come out, because that's what we saw against Hand of Unity in that first round yesterday versus Failure, is we saw Failure basically dominating them, and then Hand of Unity just changed all of their gear and then suddenly just bulldozed straight through them. It was a little insane, which had a lot to do with the item setup, and then a couple people did crash as well. But like for the most part, again, the itemization is kind of a big deal. Do you think that it was the items yourself, or do you think that like it was the map that kind of had the big difference? Because Kawazan
thank you so much for the follows, by the way.
Wanted it to be that way, or what do you think it actually was?
Luki Ba, thank you for the follow.
I honestly believe it could be a mix of itemization, but I do think it's mostly target acquisition is what I've noticed is pretty solid in Disasters and compared to Failure. I do believe it was more of a target acquisition and less of an itemization, but definitely itemization does play a role here. And just to be clear here, because a lot of people believe that when we say itemization, we're saying, oh, it's gear diff. That is not what we're trying to say here. Itemization is usually like, oh, you being flexible enough to have like multiple builds or have an evasion for this and that actually works well against that guild.
I think it's just a straight up skill diff, color diff.
But I do believe the biggest factor was
they're using the same strategy over and over again. They don't think out of the box.
Okay, right
it's not going to help them.
That both of our guilds are in
fights.
Peace Bellendir, which, guys, we all know, we've all killed Peace Bellendir before. It dies in like a minute and a half. So we're gonna let them go to Bellendir, and we'll keep breaking down the match basically as they do that. I think that Chernobog actually is a phenomenal map to choose this Failure here, because like honestly, this is kind of a Hail Mary play. Disaster beat them on Kawazan, which is their original Rift point, or Rift choice, because I think they thought they were going to catch them off balance. And again, Disaster showing that they do prep for every round of this tournament. They were ready for that.
They're doing a boss, bro.
They said, you're not going to do that to us today.
Should I log on too for the boss?
Cherno's an interesting map.
Log for the boss.
Hopefully I'll be able to find the Rift Stone a little bit faster today, Shiku. But at the same time, I do think that like that one spawn location,
we'll log for the boss.
to use the one very close spawn location, and there's a lot of kind of strategy that goes into it, but for the most part it's kind of an all-out brawl on the Rift, and Disaster can't exhibit as much control. I think that if there was a map
since there's no match, we might as well do the boss.
Yeah, right? Honestly, you put that perfectly, because as I was saying in the previous match, it seemed like Disaster had that advantage when it comes to regathering. After deaths, that is, they had a bit of time like coming together as a party, being early to the point, fighting them out on the teleports. And I think Chernobog kind of takes that out of the equation, because as you said, like the teleport is just like right next to the point, and I
But
think
it's a
that might
PvE boss. I don't need a
basically
spot, bro. I
remove
just
that
go and hit
factor,
clap, clap,
and which
clap.
Disaster performs
Clap,
better
clap, clap.
on, and will just
I'll get
open
the
more
chest,
room
I
for
get
that
some
never-ending
fragments, you know?
brawl, in which they might actually find success
you
against
mean, man?
Disaster here. So that
is it a
might
PvP
actually be the
boss?
play.
Yeah, I think that Failure actually had moments in that last match where they did swell onto the point.
Look
they
at
did,
this character,
you don't
guys.
see- in matchups that
Fire,
aren't close,
fire.
You don't see people getting caps whenever they want. You don't see people getting up over 25% and climbing and then like fighting to try to keep the cap alive. In this case, like you said, Disaster was ready set on the point, so all of their statics are standing there, and I've explained this concept before, that when you're trickling in from different locations,
I can't believe they're doing a
and run back to the
PvE
fight,
boss
that means you're not with your static group, guys. 6 people in a group, 1 healer, 1 tank, yeah, actually usually 2
mid-tournament.
healers, 1 or 2 tanks, and then the rest are all DPS. But like the idea is that you're all standing next to each other, and you're all
I'll probably
in
die
comms with
as
one
just
another.
PvE,
You can
right?
all hear the shot caller, but
Let
you're
me
all able
join
to
Carl's
talk to one
party.
another
Yeah,
privately in the
big.
call. So the problem is, if you're all spawning at different times and you're all like, some of you are running back to the fight, some of you are at the fight, some of you are just spawning now or have just died, etc. You're split. That means your DPS are not focusing on the
Alright,
same
they're still
target. Your
yapping.
tank maybe isn't there. Your heals just really aren't there. And on time, Disaster had an advantage there because they were able to sit on the point.
What is this again?
Their statics are just ready.
It's
set
Demon,
all the
right?
time. And you'll notice that Failure was
Is
constantly
Demon?
being interrupted.
Demon?
Their statics are always being
Do I have
interrupted and
Demon?
weren't always able to push
Wildkin,
with one another on
humanoid.
this last map.
I don't
On
have Demon,
Chernobog,
right?
it's complete chaos. It really is.
I'll just skill damage
How
efforts.
well is your static able to play with one another? There's very little shot calling necessarily that goes into it. Yes, there's strategy that goes into it, but the spawn is right next to the rift. And so like basically you die, you're back in the next like 4 seconds anyway. So like it's
The
really going to
spec
come
on.
down to the individual player skill level at the end of the day. And I think that Failure does have individual players that can go pound for pound with
Also, let
Disaster.
me
But when you
turn
look at the strength of the guild,
down
you don't look at the
characters.
strength of their top end. So many people get caught up with how, oh gosh, look how many kills that one guy has. Like, well, Crix is one
Portal
that
1
a lot of people
Moxis.
talk about. So I'll use Crix as an example. Look at Crix. Oh my god, he gets so
Lol.
many kills. Look at his damage is insane. But really, the strength of a guild comes
Wait, did you
down
say
to their
Portal 1?
bottom end. It's the
why is
bottom
everybody
50%
going into
of your
Portal 1?
DPS
Are
that
they
really
memeing?
determine whether or not you win a fight, right? It's your healers that determine whether or not you win a fight. And I think that I'm hoping that Failure has a better distribution. Even if Disaster's top end is stronger than Failure, Failure could still be a stronger guild because their bottom 50% is still stronger here, Shiku.
Alright, let's try.
Yeah, that is very true. That
Bro,
was
I am in
put
Portal
perfectly.
2,
Like,
yo.
I can't really add anything to that because that was pretty much like all I would say. I have to
Why
admit,
is there
though,
so
like,
many people in Portal
on
1?
Failures
That's my
end,
question.
they need to definitely check the leaderboard right now and
where's
see
my,
exactly what was going on, what the
Bellandir
composition
Venom?
was,
Up.
why were they lacking, and start see if they can do something with the itemization last second so that they can try to counter
The people that
whatever
just
was
joined, guys,
happening
we're
or
just
looked to their loss. Because,
temporarily
let's be real, yes,
doing the
individual,
boss 'cause
skills
all the
matter.
guilds are doing
Yes,
the
shot
boss instead
calling
of the
matters.
tournament.
Strategy does matter, but if you're playing, let's say, like a full party of like 50% of your guild being, let's say, melee, and you have no melee evasion, the reality is your skills are going to be thrown out of the window. And I think itemization is a part of being skilled and knowing what you're building against what exactly.
You're still talking about
it
itemization?
absolutely is, and I think that the Failure kind of has an advantage here. Disaster's kind of in an awkward position, guys. Even though it looked really one-sided for Disaster there, now they're on a map where itemization is going to matter greatly. They had the advantage in the first round, so what do you do in Failure's shoes? Yeah, you know that you can swap, but what are you going to swap to, right? And in Disaster shoes, it's like, okay, well, if we swap our itemization, they might not swap, right? So it's kind of like they're in a draw situation, right? It's Failure that has to make the first move, and Disaster that kind of has to respond to it. So I think if Failure comes out swinging in
Well,
this
I'm in
next
Portal
round,
2,
we
so I
might
should
see
be
this go
fine.
1-1. The question is, Shiku, once it's 1-1, how does Failure close out a series? Let's say that they win Cherno. How do they close out this series?
Yeah, that is, I think, where the toughness is going to begin, because now they lost Cherno. Let's say they do win this match.
Yeah.
Cherno's out of the window. Malachar is banned, which is another map that we assumed could be a good potential fight for them. So honestly, the third one is going to be just like pure sheer force. They'll just have to just push through, because I don't think any of the other maps really favor them.
I think today's the
against
last day we're on the
Disaster,
server,
and
right?
They will
On
have
break?
to figure something out before then.
I think we're leaving after
both
this.
guilds starting to join the lobby here. I know Spid says that of course a PvE guild wants to do a PvE boss. Don't worry, Spid. We know that you're not going to be playing for your guild later today because you're garbage. You'll have plenty of time to do your PvE bosses while your guild carries you. I have no problem waiting a couple minutes for a piece of Bellendir.
Why me, man?
Absolutely no problem at all, especially since it gives me time to break down the match. At least this time I'll kind of know where the Riftstone actually is at this one. I think that last time, again, I have never, it's funny because I have never actually done Chernobog. When the game released, I was on the same server as Cannon, and I said I was in his alliance when it started, and I asked Cannon, I said, Cannon, where you guys go today? He goes, Cherno. I was like, okay, yo, can we come fight you on Cherno? He's like, you don't want to do that. The Riftstone is cancer. Do not come fight us on Cherno. You guys won't enjoy it. Neither will we. I was like, okay. And then ever since then, people have been telling me it's terrible. So I've never actually fought on that Riftstone before.
I gameplay launch of Blade and Soul Neo. Yeah, I plan to.
In the
I'm
game,
gonna be streaming it.
Not Chernobog. So I legitimately.
I don't know if I'm gonna be checking out for how long.
Because if you talk about Chernobog as a map, it's way different.
It looks fun, but I don't know if it's gonna be like sustainable. It looks extremely pay to win. I'm not gonna lie. But I'll play it. I'll stream it a little bit.
Played on it and
play it until
it's
until
really
Talandra
rough.
comes out for Liberty.
If you're the attacking guild, if you're the defending guild, and you are in any way close to your opponent, you basically just sit there and farm them on a very steep uphill climb that's a choke point on the way up the mountain. It's a little rough. It's a little rough, but the Riftstone's a lot different.
I'm not sure.
There's only one.
I don't know which servers there are even. Can you select service already?
One really viable one that is right next to the Riftstone. So yeah, you have to go up that little.
Do I even have
you just spawn in, you run straight up, boom, you're back on the Riftstone again. So
green ones, because I don't want to use blue
different
ones.
dynamic on the Riftstone versus the actual, like the open world Riftstone versus the War Games Riftstone, and I think it's something that a lot of people have not.
Wait, there's only 2 servers.
Yeah,
I'm guessing it's because they haven't done much marketing, right, for the game.
Honestly, in my personal opinion,
it's actually kind of sad.
The only reason you would want to pick it is simply because you know you're just a better guild. Like target acquisition-wise, you're better. As a party, you play better. I do believe it's like one of those places that you really want to be solid as a guild to even consider playing on. And especially maybe even be the more dominant guild. So that's why I feel like Disaster might have a bit of an upper hand here. But at the same time, because there is a lot of strategy that goes into it, and there's a never-ending
once again, I mean, I came home today. I've been on a vacation for like a little bit over a week, so I came back today, so I didn't have time to do anything. I need to do my dailies in this game.
Is the honest to God truth of the matter. Both guilds are actually almost ready and in the lobby now as we get ready to go into our second match of this best of 3 here. Yeah, so yeah, Bellendir is dead on both servers already, and again, that's how Peace Bellendir works. Like, guys, if you blink, you missed it. And again, that's one of those moments where like you need as much FPS as possible, and if you want as much FPS as possible, you guys should go with Icon Digital, baby. Whoa!
Big sponsor.
Though, they sponsor the tournament. We absolutely love them. They have a free to download app, guys, that helps you keep track of everything that's going on your computer in the background. Very lightweight, non-invasive application. Free to download. You can take a look at it yourself, and then if you want to do their pay subscription service, $8.99 a month with code Blue Squadron, you can optimize your computer to get 40 to 60% more FPS across the board. So very, very nice, amazing. They also do custom computer builds, which I've taken advantage of before. They ship anywhere in the world.
The tournament. We're going back to the tournament in a second, guys.
So you can basically.
I'm just looting up this
They will build you a custom PC. Keep in mind, this is not a pre-built. This is a custom PC. You choose the parts, you choose everything. They get in call with you, and it's a free consultation too. So they'll even
fragments,
if you are looking to build your own computer, you don't know exactly what to build. You can also just take the free consultation. They'll tell you exactly what the best setup is for the game of your choice, and then you'll be basically absolutely gaming and ready for whatever game you want to try to play, whether it be Throne and Liberty, the new Blade and Soul Neo, which I'm probably gonna go play. I don't know, Shiku, if you're gonna try that. I think you said you were gonna try Blade and Soul Neo. Yep. Then Monster Hunter Wilds comes out at the start of this coming month. We're all very excited for Monster Hunter Wilds. Super excited. Crimson Desert's going to be coming out at the end of the year as well. And then we should have a couple other games coming out this year that are going to be really exciting. I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is supposed to come out this year, but that's on console, so literally no one cares.
I need to buy a console just to play GTA 6.
I mean, speaking of Crimson Desert, is that going to be an MMO still, or?
Interesting that you ask that question. If you ask Perlibus that, they say absolutely not. It's not an MMO. But if you ask like a normal player, it's going to release as a single-player RPG. Interestingly enough, it's going to be kind of like The Witcher or Assassin's Creed. And the reason I say that is the combat is kind of like Black Desert meets Assassin's Creed, and the storyline looks like it's going to follow something like The Witcher 3 had involved in it. So really cool. It'll be solo player when it comes out, and then they just announced not too long ago their plan is to make it a live service game where you can play with everyone else, kind of like Grand Theft Auto. So we should see like RP servers and servers where you can like PvP, play with your friends and stuff. So the answer to your question is yes, no. Initially when it comes out, no, but I don't think that they want to say that it's an MMO, mainly because it'll kill Black Desert, and they don't want to kill Black Desert. But like, let's just be honest, if they make it a live service game, it's just the objectively better version, right? Like it's like the updated version. Yeah. It's obnoxious. So we'll see when it comes out. It's going to be very exciting.
I don't think Crimson Desert will be in a proper MMORPG.
Honestly, like Blade and Soul Neo for me, like I played a lot of Blade Soul in the past, was probably one of the games that I enjoyed the most because of the arena PvP. Like I love mass PvP, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I prefer the smaller scale PvP. I tend to believe it's more skill based as well, especially in a game like Blade and Soul, like where literally even if the balance is not that good, arena really, the skill gap can make a difference. Even if you play a more broken class than me, if I'm more skilled than you, that matters a lot. And I really love this kind of like skill show off.
But isn't it pay to win?
Sadly, there's no arena in Neo, but they did say they might bring it in the future. So I'm just holding my breath that it comes before I quit the game. But I just want the nostalgia and I love the combat there.
Well, Blade and Soul Neo is pay to win, right?
You say that.
I'm pretty sure it's a big cash up
plan for the Western version, at least coming out like that we see. But it's made by NCSoft, if you guys don't know. NCSoft listens to literally everything the West says about Throne and Liberty. I think that everyone can agree the developers have done an exceptional job listening to the player feedback so far in the West.
I guess.
For this game. And I think it's because NCSoft is essentially bankrupt, with and the only thing keeping them afloat is the Throne and Liberty West community. Right, and EU and etc. are basically keeping them afloat as a company, so they have to keep us happy. That being said, Blade and Soul Neo comes out. I think that they're going to be doing a lot of listening to us. I think they're going to listen to us like crazy, which I love.
But they don't even have money to market the game.
I've had a really good experience with NCSoft so far. So it does look like we have one more player left to join the lobby here. We've broken down this match left, right, and center. There's not much more to say. It is Chernobog Failure versus
Failure taking another L, so we can go to the actual good match, which is the finals. I mean, we're just waiting for the finals here, guys. That's what the whole reason we're here.
That now that they're 1-0, but I still have faith in Failure. Give me a percentage chance. What do you think Failure's percent chance is?
0%.
Honestly, I do believe that Failure will show off a pretty strong fight this time. I do believe they will perform better. Disaster will be the dominant one, but I definitely
has any chance.
I'm still rooting for Disaster, obviously, but I still want to see Failure actually find success in this fight and hopefully bring it to the third match.
Yeah, I just want to see a good match, especially since the third place match here is essentially a show match. I knew the moment that I asked for a percentage, there's Spid in the audience, 0% chance. Every single time, dude, he has an opportunity. You just love to see it. He's nothing if not consistent about it. But we'll see if Disaster is able to make it happen one more time on what is going to be a very difficult map. I will be honest with you, if I'm Failure here, I'm actually wondering if we're gonna be even able to like dude, in best case scenario they win this map, then they have to play Disaster on their map of choice. That's gonna be a little rough.
Bro.
And like I'm not sure what
they already tried to play Kovazan. It's their favorite map, and they were really bad at it. It's not gonna get any better for them.
On a Grand Alon or Malakar or something, but like I think that Disaster would go for like a Talus or a Morokai, so you kind of have to ban those out because I think that they probably win on those maps. It looks like one more player did crash from Failure here, so we're gonna wait for them to rejoin the lobby.
Please let us see.
Okay, Shiku, this is a little off subject, but you're gonna play for T2. Are you gonna restart? Are you gonna rejoin Sovereign? What's your plan for that?
Yeah, Shiku, what's your plan?
Honestly, as of right now, I just plan to chill, like, with Overthrown. They've been like improving quite a lot, and they've been playing quite well as well. And I'm having a good time here, so I'm probably gonna continue playing with them. They're already shaping like an alliance to start like getting ready for tier 2. And it's been a fun ride, honestly, with them for now. So I will for now still chill with Overthrown until they either decide like go either casual man. Or we'll see from there. Who knows? Maybe they even find an alliance with Sovereign one day in the future.
Right on. Looks like chat's like, where our food is ready. We are waiting, bro. It's not my fault. They keep joining the lobby and then somebody else fails, or somebody else crashes. You guys know how this goes. It is what it is. We won't click go until we absolutely have everybody in the lobby here. It does look like the leaderships are lined up here. I wonder if Failure saw the Chernobog pick yesterday, and it's crazy because we didn't see Cherno picked in the North American tournament at all. I wonder if they saw this pick and decided to prep it for today.
Come on, man.
That they were on the back foot.
Chernobog might be a good fight, actually.
For T2, I kind of want to rejoin a PvP guild for T2 because, like, when I'm in a PvP guild, I want to play Throne of Liberty basically all the time. It's just go through Throne all
also going to be in Talandra on day one. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for Talandra, bro. I want to
Oh
grind hard.
Dude, I just have no motivation to like play the game. You know what I mean? Because like I don't know, man. When you don't have that conflict boss there, when you don't have the when you don't have all of your homies hanging out in Discord and constantly going for the open world PvP and stuff, it's just not as, I don't know, there's just something missing about the game, in my opinion. It does look like we are ready in the lobby, so I'm going to type go. Chernobog, our second map of the day. Very interesting choice coming out for Failure, and I'm not going to say I told you so, but I did tell you so in this case. This time,
I do believe this is going to be a good foot.
This time, I absolutely know where the stone is, guys. I'm headed straight for it.
All right, we got the match finally, guys.
50% chance.
We're starting.
I'm headed straight at it this time. So both guilds should be spawning in. They have almost no choice. They're going to be spawning in on point 2. Both guilds almost certainly, and then basically just running it down as quickly as they get there. Look at that. Holy moly. And look at that disaster in the red there, I believe. If I have this
huge fight happening.
Yeah, disaster is red this time, and Failure is in the yellow. It's like, looks like the teams wanted to swap colors, as it were. And Disaster looks like they dominate the stairs right now. Failure really struggling to even get up the stairs, but we should see that change as time goes on here. Clearly, they just want to fight on this lower point, but you can see just how cancer this Riftstone can be in the open world. Look, you have to run all the way up these stairs, and they're pelting you the entire way. And then even when you get up these stairs, there's more people waiting for you on this high ground as well. You see Disaster start to pivot towards these stairs here a little bit, giving Failure a little bit more room to breathe down there, like a hornet's nest, Shiku, running around.
Yeah, I do believe Disaster definitely did a great job like finding that upper ground pretty early on, because that is where you want to be. That is the advantageous spot you want to play on. And you can clearly tell that Failure already recognized that, and they decided, okay, like, you know what, we gotta fall back now, because this is not gonna work out until we start regathering and going for a proper full push, because they just have the advantageous position right now.
Yeah, it looks like Failure has fully regrouped down there, so they're looking good, but like this is the position.